Oscar winner George Clooney making his Broadway debut this spring in Good Night and Good Luck. It's a stage adaptation of the film of the same name, but this time Clooney's playing Edward R. Murrow. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
This is Gallagher's. This is like a classic.
It's pretty great, isn't it?
Theater haunt.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost picture the characters.
Actually,
You think they were here? I mean, you think
probably
these
are
guys
in the corner over there. Yeah, this is a good hang right here. We might just stay here all afternoon.
At that time would have been what? Filled with smoke.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been scotch.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing the play. We're trying to bring smoking back. That's our goal in life.
That's the whole point of the show,
that's our
right?
whole plan.
It sounds like you're going to be puffing a lot of herbal cigarettes. I mean, that's part of the gig, right?
It's brutal. I have actually had to practice smoking. Not great. That's part of your rehearsal.
That's part of your rehearsal.
It's going to be rough.
But even in your film, it's just constant.
We used pipe smoke then because it was really thick and it stayed in the air. So who knows what we're going to do now?
I didn't expect you to come to Broadway. I'm excited.
Well, I
you're
didn't
here.
expect to come to Broadway. I kind of thought that ship sailed way back in the day. I'm very nervous about this.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's late in life to be doing your Broadway debut. I've done a lot of live things.
Sure.
But this is a very different. There's also an anticipation of these kinds of speeches that Murrow gives. And so I've had to work on them since August because as you get older, it gets harder to memorize things.
We will not walk in fear one of another. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent.
20 years ago, almost to the day, you started filming this movie.
That's right.
It sounds like you've been living with the idea of doing this
We have.
for a while.
We've been trying to make it into a play for a bit. And then it was harder and harder to figure out how. And then we kind of came up with an idea that was going back to what we originally done, because when we originally did this, it's kind of funny. When we originally were writing this, Good Night and Good Luck in 2004, we wrote it as a live TV show because we had done Failsafe as a live TV show.
Oh, right.
And then the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, exposing thing came out, and CBS pulled the plug on us.
Wow.
And so I called up Grant and said, now we have to take out all the sort of the live elements and make it into a film. And so we changed it then. So the original draft of it was closer to a play.
Interesting. So you're actually just going back to the...
Kind of back to that stuff.
That's great.
Because, in a film you can cut from one scene to another.
Right.
You can be in another room, and in a live production or in a play, you have to find a way to get them from one room to another. So it's a little bit of that.
David Strathairn was fantastic in the film.
Oh my God.
What is it like to sort of age into that role?
When Grant and I wrote it the first time, we did a table reading where I was going to play
Okay.
Murrow. And this is in 2004 maybe. And I was directing the film, and so there's this moment as a director, not as an actor, but as a director, where you go, I'm not right for the part. And it's a funny thing. It's hard to do. You have to be able to step back and look at it and go, wow, I'm not right for this. I was too young in a weird way.
Yeah.
And David came in, and because it was sort of an emergency, I was going to bail out. I was going to play Fred Friendly, and he was going to do Murrow. And I said, do you want to do it? And we came to New York and met with him. He said, sure. We'd never heard him do it. And then he showed up and he had like a long gray beard and gray hair. And I was like, have we made a terrible mistake? And he shaved and jet black his hair, and he puts a cigarette in his mouth, and all of a sudden we were like, we did okay. I actually, in doing this part now, I'm trying to rip him off of the things he did. You know what I mean? Because he was that good. And so 20 years later, I get a crack at it.
Your dad was a journalist.
Yeah.
What has it been like for him to see your commitment to this story?
I think he's proud of it. I think he's more proud of this than anything I've done because it matters to him.
Yeah.
He was a news director. He wasn't just an anchor man. He was a journalist who wrote articles in the newspaper. And this, for my father, is very personal. And I think for me, being able to do something that's very personal for my father makes it very personal for me.
Do you like telling this story? People are talking about the relevance, obviously, when you revisit the story. Do you like sort of telling something from a historic lens, but that has this sort of
Well, I think it's
urgency?
important because, what's the Mark Twain, it doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yeah.
There is, we are constantly having to wage this battle against, for truth, right? Truth is the hard part. It's certainly, we're certainly fighting for that again. Holding truth to power it's not something that, we had to do it, again, we had to do it during Vietnam, we had to do it during the civil rights movement, we had to do it during the women's rights movement. We've had all of these moments in time where, Watergate, go down the list of times where truth mattered. So it's not something new to us now, but it is a battle that has to be waged. It's not going to just automatically happen, right? Part of democracy, the reason it's the First Amendment, the very First Amendment, is because our right to free speech and our battle for free speech is preeminent. It is the most important part. I think it's important to remember, though, that this wasn't and isn't designed to be a civics lesson. That's not what it is designed to be. It's an entertainment. That's why we go backwards and look. We're not here to preach to people about, we really thought this is a story about us at our best as Americans when we hold our own feet to the fire for our own actions as opposed to someone else. And I think that that's a beautiful story.
What are you most excited about sort of the next few months? And
finishing it. I'm terrified. Come on, it's an interesting thing. I started out doing theater, and it's been 40 years since I've done a play. And, we did a table reading on Monday with all these fantastic young actors, and they're all beautiful and smart and talented. And I'm sitting there looking at them going, I haven't done a play since they were born. It's a long time. Yeah. And so I'm rightfully nervous about doing this and hopeful that we don't do a disservice to it. That's my greatest goal is I have people I'm responsible for. One of the characters in our play, Joe Wershba and his wife, Shirley, who were, characters who were in the room when it happened, Shirley's still around. She's 102 years old.
Wow.
We have a responsibility to her. I have a responsibility to my father. I feel a great responsibility to an audience who are buying tickets to come and see a show that we put on a good show. So it's nerve-wracking, man. But that's okay. Listen, it's fun to be 63 and go, I don't know. It's not a bad thing to be, and it's humbling,
We're all rooting for you.
Well, thanks. I need it.
Good night and good luck.
Yeah, exactly.